Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Once again, this is Jeffrey Daniel coming to you from Abuja, Nigeria. Today is November 16, 2021, so they say, on that Gregorian calendar. You guys, I'm going to continue to bang on it because they just threw us in this paradox thinking that it's the year 2021 and stole centuries away from us. I could say millenniums. They stole millennia away from us with this calendar that Pope Gregory established. You guys look that up. I talked about it on my other video, The Great Manipulation of Time. So you guys can check that out on your own time. As I always say, anything I say, you guys can go and fact check me and research on your own, okay? All right, good. I hope everyone's doing fine. I just, hope everybody is keeping safe in all this. Today I have a very, very interesting topic because I think it's kind of urgent. It's a very urgent topic. In fact, it's so urgent that as I was doing research and writing this composition up, my commentary, things are actually starting to change as I'm doing it. So I better hurry up and do this because it's going to get, outdated, or it's going to get altered as I'm speaking because things are ongoing right now. And basically, I'm going to talk about what's happening in the United States of America. Now, there's a lot happening around the world. There's this stuff that's going on with this refugee thing happening over there in Belarus. There's this country over there in Europe. I never even heard of the country. I consider myself a pretty well-traveled and geographical man, and I never even heard of that country before. Berusa, what's the name of that country? You guys know what I'm talking about, where they're having that refugee crisis over there. Things are happening all over, you guys. Things are happening all over. They just had a suicide bombing in Liverpool, in the UK. You guys, I told you guys it's getting hot. It's getting hot, and as things heats up, people on that lower vibration, people on the higher vibration, and I hope I can help get us all to that higher frequency of vibration, on that divine vibration, on that phi, the golden ratio vibration. That's what I'm trying to get us all to. Okay, you guys? All right, here we go. So let me get in my disclaimers. Anything I say is not meant to be discriminative against any group of people, any individual, or any race of people. I don't like to bang on people, but I will bang on topics. I am not here to bang on people unless you deserve it. Okay? And cancel culture is real, family. And it's about to get worse. This whole cancel culture stuff is just really getting out of hand. With them trying to attack Dave Chappelle for telling jokes. When do comedians not tell jokes? Wow. And if any members of our society are so sensitive that if a joke is told about them, that they have to come back and counterattack a comedian, not a politician, not some type of a activist leader that has a multitude of people following him and they're going to act on his, ideology or something. We're talking about a comedian. That's what they do. They draw from real life and make satire, and that's what makes it humorous and funny. That's why it's funny, because it's things taken from real life and put in a humorous context. And that's what makes it funny. For instance, back in school, yeah, man, your mama's so ugly. She had a mouth on the back of her neck and she chewed like this. And we love our mothers, and we could get into a fight if you say something too wrong, but it's picturing your mother doing this. It's what makes it so funny. So come on, you guys, loosen up, you guys, okay? Come on. I don't care what corner of society you're from. If you're from the LGBT, I don't know the letters. If you're from the Jewish community, if you're from the black community, the white, the Asian, the Latino, whatever, you guys, comedians are supposed to tell jokes. That's what they do. So come on, you guys, get over it and let's all have a good laugh at ourselves. That's what we used to do, okay? So anyway, you guys, I want to thank all of my followers who have taken time from your life's busy schedule to reply in the comment section. I really appreciate your feedback and perspectives, and you guys know I do, because I take out time and I actually reply to you in return. Even if I just give you a little, icon or something like that, or just a little symbol or something like that, because I have a lot of people to respond to. And I've been watching my subscriber numbers growing at a snail's pace in increments. And that's just how I like it, because I'm gaining followers who are sincerely in search of the truth. And I always endeavor to be the voice of reason in this climate of fake news, okay? So I'm not going to keep you all too long. I know you got to get back to your Squid Games and your Kardashians and the Real Wives of Celebrities and a plethora of reality shows. I'm not one to stand in the way of people who insist on being mentally and spiritually dumbed down, if that's what you really want to do. But in this age of information, ignorance is a choice. I'm going to say that again. In this age of information, ignorance is a choice. So you guys ain't going to have no excuse for being ignorant, for those of you who insist on being that way. But I think if you guys could look at the numbers and see how many people are following me on each post, on each video post, you can see how many people have viewed it. I'm not into astronomical numbers like, Adele or Taylor Swift or Jay-Z or somebody like that. I'm not in those numbers, you guys, but it's fine, because people who really want to know the truth, people who are really concerned about what's going on, people who want to know historical facts, things in religious context and things like that, these are the things that I'm beating in on. And people who want to keep in tune with what's really going on, those are the people who are coming to me. So I'm not getting all these great numbers, because a lot of those people, they're just here for fun and just having silly or trolling or the gossip, or they just want to see controversial things and get in the mess and stay in the mess. And all those people on these low vibrations, you guys, we talked about that. They're just vibrating on these low frequencies, you guys, and they're being further dumbed down, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it, It's like an animal seeing the headlights coming, and they're standing in the middle of the road staring at the headlights until the car gets close enough and bang, So I just want to salute all the people who are out there who are trying to stay in tune with what's really happening in the world, okay? Remember, I told you all before, your diet isn't just what you eat. It's also what you hear. It's what you see. It's the people and elements that you allow into your space and your body. And if you keep hanging around toxic people, that toxicity becomes you too. And what do I mean by toxic people? People who drain your positive energy with the negative baggage in their life. Always talking negative about other people. Always complaining about everything instead of looking for solutions. Always using you for the things that you worked hard to obtain, and not adding anything positive or productive to your life. Now, I know some of you have at least one or two of such toxic people in your life right now, So now there's no way to microwave such vital information, especially such an aggregation of facts, dates, details, and events. But I try to be as cursory as possible without watering down the potency of the truth. And as I always say, some truths are very uncomfortable, and the truth has no obligation to be comfortable. It just has to be honest. That's a JD quote, you guys. The truth has no obligation to be comfortable. It just has to be honest. That's an original JD quote, I don't pat myself on the back too often, but okay, I got to give it to me. All right. I'm here to talk about things that matter. Now, before I go in on today's topics, has anyone else noticed that with all this talk about vaccines and boosters, and since we've been on lockdowns, have you all noticed that there's no more talk about 5G? Did 5G just go away? Or did they use the time that we were on lockdown to set it up without us knowing about it? Now, I'm just asking. I'm not trying to propagate any conspiracies, but I do find that very, very strange. Because just before COVID hit, the biggest social discussion and contention was about the arrival of 5G. Everybody was going at it, People were burning down the the cell site towers and all these things are happening. And how does an issue that contentious just disappear as if it was never raised? Now that's strange, you guys. And what happened to all those anti-5G advocates? I guess they just switched over to anti-vaccine and anti-booster people. Because think about it, you guys. There's no more talk about 5G. I haven't heard one peep about 5G. And after I gave you guys the heads up a couple of videos back about the coming metaverse, just a few videos back. And since then, it's been officially announced that the metaverse is coming. Mark Zuckerberg is reportedly changing the name of Facebook to Meta. Okay? You see how my perspicacity is always on point. Follow me now. Come on. You got to keep up with me, family. Got to keep up. Got to keep up. I'm on top of it, you guys, you know. So I try to stay on top of it. All right? All right. So I want to talk about what's happening in America now. And I want you guys to really be aware of Trump's real intentions, all right? Now, I'm going to be as fair and unbiased in my assessment of what's going on and what's transpiring before our very eyes as humanly possible. I am not here to bash on Trump or the Republican Party. I told you all before, I am not a party basher. Trump is who he is and has always been that way. I told you all last year, before any of this popped up, even before the elections, before the insurrection, before all that, I told you guys all before. I said, Trump suffers a psychological condition known as solipsism. And if you're new here, please look up the word for yourself. Solipsism. He is solipsistic. SOLIPSISM. Solipsism. Look it up, you guys. And the members of the GOP have also held true to their real characters, as well as some of the members of the Democratic Party. But for some odd reason, a lot of you feel that because you support a certain political party, that it supports you. You guys got to get with this now. We got to get with this. I'm sorry to be the one to wake you all up, but they only serve their own agendas. However, some legislative concessions may have inadvertently benefited you, but very few bills are passed to specifically address your immediate needs, okay? I get tongue-tied sometimes, you guys, so excuse me. All right, I'll say that again. Very few bills are passed that specifically address your immediate needs. More than often, you end up being appeased from the byproduct of a bill that's been passed, or a new law that serves another purpose, but also touches on your wants and needs. So for me, and I can only speak for myself, so for me, I have to have deeply vested interest in either party. And I can't do that. You know? I just think to have any deeply vested interest in either party is futile. But this is what we have, you know? So just look back at the history and see the deficit of legislative laws that were passed to directly and unequivocally benefit our specific needs. Or shall I ask, how many laws were passed on your behalf that weren't enforced with marches or protest lines or as a result of conflicts? Some even resulting in deaths of citizens, just to get a law passed that might benefit you and your community. Just simple civil rights. Think about that. Think about that. We have to fight. Now, I know people have to lobby for laws, they have to petition to have laws and bills signed and enforced. But for us, we got to march. We got to protest. We got to get out there and get in the trenches. People get shot. People have to die. And this is what we have to do to have laws passed that directly and specifically benefit us. And it's been that way for decades. It's been that way for decades, you know. And you guys know it's true. So, hold on, let me get... All right. Former President Donald J. Trump did not invent or invite racism or political disrespect. but he made it acceptable. And once a sitting president crosses that thin line that breaks down political decorum, then sadly it becomes the order of the day and very difficult to bring things back into the normality that was previously exercised. Now, even if that normality was never even genuine, but at least politicians and citizens alike were civil enough to go through the motions as if it was authentic. They used to call that shaking and faking. Yeah, shaking and faking. That's what they used to call that. You know, just going through the motions. But at least we used to go through the motions, you guys. You still know something wasn't right. Okay, but because there's a certain type of decorum we all have to hold, a certain type of protocol that we all have to hold, and keep things civil, even when they're not 100%. But we still have to keep it civil, as in losing an election. Okay, we lost. As in, okay, we might not get this concession, but we got that concession. Okay. But we're living in a new world now, you guys. Things have changed. Things have changed. So, Donald Trump's greatest legacy will be the era of fake news and hyperbole, okay? Fake news and hyperbole, and bringing America's true feelings to the table and allowing people from both sides of this racial dichotomy to expose their real thoughts and feelings. And now we see the real United States of America and what she truly stands for and has stood for since its inception back in 1776. And if the Democratic Party don't wake up and get their ish together, and I'm trying to keep this rated PG, if they don't get their ish together, you Democrats, and start conducting yourselves as if you're in a real life battle, you're about to hand the country back over to Trump and the Republicans on a silver platter. I'm telling you, you guys better wake up, because the Republicans, they're going for the jugular. The Republicans, they throw decorum out the window, they throw integrity out the window, and they're just going. Now, of course, I'm not saying we should all get nasty and dirty and play dirty politics and that, but at least you have to recognize that that's what's happening, and you have to prepare yourself to counteract that, to combat that, because that's how they're coming at us, you know. So I understand that Biden is trying to bring the country together and move with political integrity, but the Republicans are fighting very dirty and ignoring all political protocol, continuing to push flat-faced lies to mislead the public and refusing to cooperate with the authorities. Now, you do not bring a knife to a gunfight. Now, since I started putting all this together, as things are developing, they did finally serve Steve Bannon with a you cannot refuse subpoena after he refused the initial subpoena. How do you ignore and refuse subpoenas? We can't do that. And that's what the Republicans are doing. But they finally got Steve Bannon, so that's ongoing now. And they're going to try to get at him. Are they going to they indicted him, but are they actually going to do any convicting? We don't know. Are they actually going to really charge him with this stuff? That's yet to be seen, because these people, they do that often. Like they'll recognize something and they'll put it on the table, and then the next thing you know, boom, they're off the hook. So we're gonna see, you know. So I just don't understand how this is possible. In the so-called greatest democracy in the world, a blatant perversion of justice in plain sight. Why is there no institution of checks and balances in place to prevent such abuse of authority? I just don't understand it. If you or I were to behave in such a criminal manner, we'd be facing the full brunt of the law before two shakes of a rabbit's tail. And you guys know that. I just don't understand this system of, yes, he committed the crime. Yes, we all saw the crime captured on film, but now let's sift through all the evidence to see if we can prove if it really is a crime or not. If they would give us that courtesy when we fall short of the law, things would be beautiful. If you set a bar, that bar should be, everybody should be held to that bar. But this is the world we live in. That's how they're doing it. And also, The Ahmaud Arbery murder trials look just like a mockery of the Emmett Till trial back in 1955, selecting an all-white jury and only one black juror to reach a verdict of 3 white men that killed a black man. And this is supposed to be 2021. You see, nothing has really changed. Nothing has changed. But like every other so-called great empire, even the United States of America will come to an end. And that looks very imminent. It looks very imminent if things continue the way they are. The things that you may have mistook for progress and changes for the better were just glossy coats painted over a very rotten and nasty core. And America's core has never not been rotten. You guys got to deal with it. We got to be honest. America's core has always been rotten. They just paint gloss over this and they try to gloss over that. But the core of it, I don't mean to keep regurgitating the same old stories, but ever since the colonialists, they decided to revolt against their sovereign King George III of England in the 1700s and keep the new colonies for themselves, America has always been governed by dishonest and malicious behavior. There has never been honor among thieves in any society anyway. Looking back at the impetus of the Revolutionary War against, their king in England, the First World War, the Second World War, the Vietnam and the Korean Wars, up to the Gulf Wars, to the growing conflicts all across the Middle East today. They have all been rooted in selfishness, greed, arrogance, and disrespect for other nations and people around the globe. And for me personally, the most unforgivable atrocity committed by the United States, apart from systematically wiping out the indigenous people of the Americas and the enslavement of captured African peoples, was the use of the atomic bomb over 2 Japanese civilian cities, just to flex their military might to the rest of the world. They dropped 2 atomic bombs over Japanese civilian cities. And do you know what was the real reason for dropping the atomic bomb? It wasn't to end the war. The emperor was already negotiating the conditions of his surrender. It was just a flex of an atomic muscle as a warning to other nations. And they used Japan for a prop to do that. We're talking about old people, senior citizens, women, pregnant women, children, just citizens. They dropped the worst weapon that has ever been used, against any other society in the history of the world. Some people were immediately incinerated, singed. Some people suffered. Oh, one of the oldest surviving members of the atomic bomb just died like a couple months ago. He was 90 something or something like that. His body, he had burns from his body from head to toe. He wasn't at the epicenter of the blast, but he was a little further out. So the fire did catch him, and he survived all these years. And he'd been an advocate against using, atomic bombs, atomic energy, nuclear bombs, nuclear energy. He spent the rest of his life advocating, against that. That guy survived that. He lived the rest of his life with the scars of that atomic bomb. And why do I bring this up? Why am I bringing this up, you guys? Because of the unabated hypocrisy of the American government. America is the only country in the history of the world to use an atomic bomb on another country, then have the unmitigated gall to attack Iraq and murder its sitting president, after falsely claiming that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction. Not that Iraq ever used any, mind you, but they created a lie that Iraq possessed WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, and now holding sanctions against Iran for having a nuclear program. Even though Iran claims to be developing it for its nation's power supply, just nuclear power plants, but let's say even if Iran were to build nuclear weapons, what about China? What about Russia? What about France? What about Israel? And supposedly North Korea's nuclear stockpiles. So I think if you really wanted other nations not to pursue the development of nuclear weapons, then dismantle your own damn stockpiles and show by example. But no, The Western countries, especially America, wants to be the only countries holding the rest of the world hostage, keeping the most destructive weapons as a threat, which exposes their real intentions, which is rule by force. Ruling by force. To me, that is not the leader of the free world. That's the bully of the world. And whoever said it was their world to begin with, whoever said it was their world to begin with, that they should dictate and go around the world and try to dictate what other countries can have and what they can't have, after they're the only ones with the blood on their hands. America is the only one who has used an atomic weapon on another country, but yet going around telling people what they can do and what they can't do, what they should do. And these nations are much older. America is what, almost 300 years old. Iraq, Iran, you're talking about Mesopotamia. You're talking about BC. You're talking about people who have been around long before you, and now you're the boss of the world. You know, it's so hypocritical, you guys. It's so hypocritical. And I know this type of talk is considered unpatriotic, but I'm not concerned about a damn flag right now. I'm talking about human lives and the nations around the world being oppressed and abused in the name of democracy. And have you guys seen that COP26, this conference, the climate change thing that's been going on lately? You know, I have said this before, and for you newcomers, I'll say it again. Western industrialization is toxic to nature. Western industrialization is toxic to nature. And the most blaring testament to that is now being substantiated at the COP26 climate change summit that was just held in Scotland. Isn't it ironic that the very forces that are responsible for polluting the planet are now trying to scramble to undo what they have done in the name of progress? I call it degress, not progress. You know, if you're decimating nature that sustains our life and all other life on the planet, how do you equate that with progress? How do you say that's progress? But I told you all in my last post, the climate is not in their hands to control. Okay? They cannot control the climate control. Yes, they can cut back on some man-made CO2 carbon emissions that are contaminating our environment, but they cannot, and I repeat, they cannot stop global warming, as it's a natural cosmological cycle phenomenon that happens to be in our galaxy, okay? We are moving into a new age, the age of Aquarius, and our sun is going through its natural cycle of exhaling. So the earth will naturally get hotter for a period, okay? I told you guys about this in my last period post, you guys, all right? So if you guys want to go back and look at my other posts, I'm telling you guys all about that. The age of Aquarius and the heating up of the sun. I explained all that, okay? So I won't go into it now. Now, how long will this hotter period last? I cannot tell you. Do they know this information and are withholding it? That I also cannot tell you. But do they know it's a natural occurrence? I can honestly tell you, yes. I can emphatically tell you, yes. They do know that this is a natural occurrence. Now, do you all know what happens when a virus enters our bodies? Our body's temperature heats up, causing a fever in an attempt to push out that invading virus. Okay? What's happening with the earth? It's heating up, and it's probably trying to push out this virus that's inhabiting the earth, that's trying to destroy it. Think about that, you guys. The earth is not a dead planet. The earth is alive. That's why things grow from the earth. That's why we have earthquakes. The plates move. That's why we have weather patterns and all this thing. The earth is a living thing, you guys. I'm not saying it's a living thing with a consciousness that can talk or speak or something like that, but the earth is a living thing. The sun is a living thing. The sun is not just burning at one temperature like you turn on your cooker and just keep it at a certain temperature and the flame just stays there. No, the sun fluctuates. Solar flares, the corona coming from the sun, sunburst, all these things are happening. Expands, It does all these things, you guys. So please allow me to help this information make sense to all of our religious family out there, okay? Because I always like to talk to our religious family because, and when I say my religious family, when I call out Christians, Muslims, anyone, it's not that I'm banging on you specifically, but I know because some people take their religious books so literally and so faithfully that they don't want to get information outside of that. But you guys, this is a whole world going on. And we have to understand what's happening from all angles, you know? So yes, it's good to stay into our holy books. It's good to keep in line with our spiritual doctrines and that. Trying to keep our frequency vibrating on that higher level, you know, on that divine frequency. That's a commendable thing. That's a beautiful thing. But we also need to pay attention to what's happening around us too. Okay, you guys? So it is widely believed among Christians that Satan would have a 2,000-year reign over the earth. You guys believe that, right? Okay, you heard that. So also, Jesus is supposed to have died 2,021 years ago, which Pope Gregory adjusted his Gregorian calendar to, right? So we're talking about 2000, you guys. So is it just a coincidence that each of the 12 astrological constellations lasts roughly 2,000 to 2,150 years? You guys cannot ignore the physical and the tangible events that are occurring around us and in front of us because you believe in some biblical doctrine or some religious doctrine. Think about that, you guys. Let's look at this. Let's round this out with this 2000 thing. Oh, Satan's going to have the deeds to the earth for 2,000 years. Jesus is supposed to have died just over 2,000 years ago, 2021, according to their calendar. Each astrological constellation lasts roughly 2,000 years. We're talking about, you know, Aquarius, Sagittarius, Virgo, Leo. That's what they did to correlate with. They named these constellations, you guys, just to keep up with the movement of the cosmos. That's what it is. It's not because we believe in some hocus pocus, spooky stuff. You know what's ironic about this whole thing? That some religious people say, well, you know, you're into that astrology stuff. So you guys, you know, I'm not into that. I'm into the Bible. Who put the stars up there? Who created the constellations? That God that you serve. So we're just acknowledging it. We're just living in confluence with it. We're moving with it. And we found a way to see how it correlates with us. It's not some spooky stuff, you guys. It's what's happening. Part of our solar system, part of our galaxy, part of our universe that God created. So don't come at people who are acknowledging God's creation and finding a system of how it's working and the mechanics of how it's moving, and then try to call them, you know, oh, you guys are into that. Yeah, they're into what the Creator created. Okay? So that's what's so ironic about that whole thing. Now, the 12 constellations following our solar sun around the galaxy, think about that. The 12 astrological constellations following our sun around the galaxy somehow became interpreted as 12 disciples following the Son of God. We do know that these 12 constellations are following the sun around our galaxy. That is empirical facts. That is incontrovertible. That is emphatical. Okay? But we read that 12 disciples followed the Son of God. Do you guys see the allegorical thing that's happening there? But hey, I know if it wasn't written in the scripture, it can't be true, irregardless to what we're now beginning to experience. So let me shut up before I upset our religious family, you guys, okay? These are just coincidences. Wow. Okay, family, put it like this. Okay, put it like this. Why don't they just open up the Vatican City's secret vaults and let us see the knowledge they're hiding for ourselves? After all, if the Christian church really wants to save our souls, why do they have all that biblical and historical knowledge locked away from the very people that they want to save? Is that making sense to you all? Is that making sense? Let me get away from this whole religious thing. I don't want to get into religious debates and this, that, you guys. But you guys, at some point, you have to really use your cognitive facilities and open up your mind and see what's going on for what it is, not for what someone else is trying to tell you it is, that you can't see, that you have to have faith that it is. Do you know what faith means? Faith means the belief in things that you cannot see and verify. And that's deep. That's deep. So you're going to invest your whole life and your soul and salvation on the thing that you can never verify, that you can never see, that was written thousands of years ago. When there are things right in front of you that you can see, and it's being verified, it's being explained, it's being broken down, and you're going to ignore that. Now, I'm not saying we should never have faith in things. Faith is a good thing to have when you know that something is going to happen, and you know that something is going to come, that you know. Because when you know, you don't have to believe, because you know. That's all I'm going to say about that, you guys. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's get to this insurrection, okay? I'm going to talk about the insurrection. Let me wet my whistle one more time. How you guys doing out there? You guys hanging with me? Okay, stay with me, you guys. Stay with me, because it's going to get, I'm going to go into this thing, okay? So, when is an insurrection not an insurrection? Can anybody answer that question, please? Now, I know it's a rhetorical, but when is an insurrection not an insurrection? How does a president incite an insurrection live on camera for all the world to see and still walking a free man? That there was the crime of the century. It was the first time the United States, citadel of democracy, had been breached in over 200 years, and the government is dragging its feet and knuckles, contemplating how to address such an obvious crime. But why do I think they call the O.J. Simpson trial the crime of the century? Why do you guys think they call the O.J. Simpson trial the crime of the century? Because it was about a black man and a white woman. But when it's a white man committing the highest treasonous crime against the government, suddenly we're not hearing all these sensational titles. In fact, they're still debating if it ever really happened at all. Now, in case you're not aware, let me share with you the consequences of inciting an insurrection are sedition, okay? I'm break this. You guys know I like to break things down for you so you guys can understand, okay? And if you guys want to write this stuff down so you can have this information for yourselves, I'll back up the video later on and write it down. You can get to it, okay? Here we go. According to the U.S. Code 2383, it is illegal to incite, insist, or participate in a rebellion or insurrection against U.S. laws and authority. The punishment for an insurrection can include a fine and up to 10 years in federal prison and ineligibility for public office. Ineligibility for public office. So why is Trump not only a free man, but still running for public office after committing an insurrection? Respectively, sedition is a serious felony punishable by fines and up to 20 years in federal prison, and it refers to the act of inciting revolt or violence against a lawfully authority with the goal of destroying or overthrowing it. Does that not describe what we just all witnessed on January 6th? But the inciter is now campaigning for office, while the people he incited into committing these crimes are now handing down prison sentences. These guys who had families, who had jobs, who happen to be members of extremist groups, they're now sitting up in the jail and sitting in courtrooms facing federal prison time because they followed up on this incitement and insurrection. Okay? Sedition, you guys. Now, I ask once again, why isn't Trump arrested and facing criminal charges? In his most infamous chant, lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. And I told you all over a year ago how Adolf Hitler made his return to politics. I told you guys over a year ago how Adolf Hitler made his return to politics after being disgraced from a failed coup attempt against the German government. He was actually put in jail, but let out after a few months and assumed to have been morally defeated. But he unexpectedly returned with a vengeance. Think about that, you guys. He returned with a vengeance and formed the Brown Shirts extremist group, which led to the creation of the notorious Nazi Party and overthrew the German democracy. And history has recorded how tragic that all turned out. Now, it only takes one charismatic, narcissistic leader to steer the masses in the wrong direction. That's all it is. Preying on their fears. That's how they do it. They prey on people's fears. Now, even though Hitler and the Nazi Party were eventually defeated, but look at all the atrocious and horrific loss of lives and property that was sustained during his reign in power. People, family, and adversaries. Are we about to watch history repeat itself as if we didn't learn a damn thing? You guys, you got to watch what's happening. If Donald J. Trump is allowed to return to politics, I fear we may very well be ushering in another grave chapter in American and world history. In fact, from his previous track record of being a self-consumed, solipsistic narcissist, I'm more than certain we will be heading down the road of disaster if he's allowed to return back into power. America is a racial and social dichotomy powder keg. And all it takes is that one spark to ignite America's second civil war. I made a post about this over a year ago that America is trying to go into another civil war. Maybe this time there will be no survivors on either side. People, you have to be smarter and choose your battles wisely. Don't allow political figures to coerce you into a war that only serves their selfish agendas. Just look at the fools now on trial and going to prison because Trump incited a battle cry and lied that he would be right there with him. He took his ass back to the White House and watched it on TV. That was one of the biggest acts of cowardice that I've ever seen. You know, going down, you guys down to the Senate building, don't allow that to happen, and I'm coming right with you. Got in his bulletproof limousine and went to the White House and watched it on TV. Eating McDonald's. You guys, how could they even follow him after that? How could they even continue to follow him after? How can they be that brain dead? But anyway, Trump coming back into the political arena will definitely be the end of the United States of America. America is already more divided than it's ever been, and sentiments are growing more nastier by the day. And the sad part about it is, the people supporting Trump will also suffer in the end because his selfish agenda does not include their best interests either. He's just using them to keep himself in power and to keep his ass out of prison. That's all Trump is doing. And they're sitting there in these rallies and they're supporting this guy and they're chanting all this rhetoric with him. You know, it's the election was stolen. Give us back our votes and lock him up. And they're just having fun chanting this stuff, you guys. And they're just following the Pied Piper off the cliff, you know? Excuse me, guys, because it's hot here. And just think, if Trump is allowed to run again, what happens if he loses again? He will once again deny the outcome of the elections and incite his supporters and close constituents into another insurrection and coup attempt. Now, if it sounds outlandish, it just happened January 6, 2021. You guys, so this is it. They set up this system that anything they try to do that's illegal, that's against the law or whatever, if they're called out on it, they cry wolf. They cried like a baby. It's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. They're just after us. Biden just wants to lock us up. This is personal. This is what they do, you guys. And I don't know how they're allowed to do it. Why doesn't some arm of the government is there to just slap? I'm trying not to use vulgar adjectives, you guys, but why is it that some arm of the law to come along and just smack these people out who are doing this? Because we see it for what it is. Please keep in mind that Trump lost the popular votes twice in a row. Once to Hillary Clinton in 2016, he lost the popular votes. He won by the electoral votes. And again, Trump lost the popular votes in 2020. It was the electoral votes that got Trump into the White House, not the popular votes. So he tried to throw out Biden's electoral votes in 2021, in January 6th, but that didn't work, you see? So I just want to say that to all the Republican supporters as well as the Democratic supporters, all you have is one last chance to preserve what little semblance of sanity and national unity before things fall too far apart and become completely irreparable. Because once things fall into that deep abyss, there'll be no turning back. There'll be no turning back, you guys. Nothing escapes a black hole. It will be the end of the United States of America. I'm telling you guys. I warned you guys about this last year before things even developed and got this far out of hand. And now you guys see how it's gotten. Now, I just want to reiterate something. Anything that I'm saying about Donald J. Trump is based on empirical facts and incontrovertible truth, not based on sentiments or conjecture. I'm not here to bash on Trump or anyone, but we have to hold people accountable for their actions. On the other hand, Joe Biden is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and that's probably due to his age and his inability to keep up with his teleprompters. But at least he does display genuine hope for a United States of America. He may not always be right, but at least he's offering a concise and comprehensive antidote for America's problems. But are you prepared to save the United States of America? And that's what you got to ask yourselves, okay? Are you prepared to save the United States of America? Who am I? I'm just one person, and I'm trying to bring the awareness. I'm trying to be the voice of reason. I'm trying to help you guys see what's going on from another perspective so that it resonates in your mind that we are in some deep SHIT, and if we don't act now, it's going to be too late. America has never been this far off the edge before. That's why the rest of the world is astonished watching this. They're just watching this and wow. And if it teeters, all that takes is that one little teeter, you guys. That's it. That's it. That's all she wrote. As I said, Mesopotamia fell. Rome fell. Greece fell. It used to be the great British Empire, and it fell. America, it's on the verge of falling. It's on the verge of falling. I predicted this before. I said, if the Western worlds do not stop abusing and oppressing the other people of the world, that they're going to fall. They're going to fall. Because that's what they have built their nation on. That's what they built their economies on. That's what they built. Their whole survival is based on the oppression of other people around the world, how they get their resources, how they get their labor done, this is what it is, you guys. Let's be honest. I'm not saying that they're doing nothing of their own. I'm not saying that, but the foundation of it, okay? It as simple as, I grew up listening to things like, what is it? Twining's Tea of Lipton, Cadbury chocolate, Belgium waffles, Belgium chocolate. Wow, Belgium chocolate is, man, that's not knowing that the cocoa for all that chocolate is coming from Africa or other countries, but the majority from Africa, I think mainly Ghana and some places like that. Why don't they just call it Ghanaian chocolate? Why do they call it Belgium chocolate? Because the Belgium took the cocoa and they made the chocolate in their country, and now they're selling it as Belgium chocolate. you know. Then I thought tea came from England because growing up, the Englishman and the gentleman, we have a spot of tea, and you know, and with the finger in the air and all that stuff, and you know, it's cool. We rolled with it, we loved it, you know. Come to find out that the tea is coming from Ceylon, India, and from what is it, Sri Lanka, and these places. That's in Asia, in China. That's where the tea is coming from. So why would they call it English tea? Things to make you go home. I'm not banging on England. You know, these are things that they did in history, you guys, and we're looking at the results of it, you know. Just like KFC, you know, they got KFC and they're showing Colonel Sanders. You know, if you want Kentucky Fried Chicken, you'll have to visit me. Remember those commercials? And it's KFC. But where did the recipe really come from? This is what we're living with, you guys. As I said, moving into the age of Aquarius, where there's harmony and understanding, mystic crystal revelations in our minds, true revelations in the age of Aquarius. It's going to be truth. There's going to be more honesty. We're shifting into that. And when we get there and when it opens up and when we all get on that frequency, vibrating on that higher frequency, that divine frequency, that's what's going to happen, you guys. I told you before what happens. It's as simple as this. It's as simple as this, you guys. The rays from the sun, which the word ray is abbreviation for radiation, okay? So the radiation from the sun is ionizing radiation, which means that it goes through cells, it goes through things, ionizing, okay? It touches your molecules, and it goes into the molecules of your skin, and that's when the melanocytes get activated and they become darker, and that's how you get a sun tan. But it also goes into the skin and it goes into the calcium and all that, and it creates blood in our bone marrows. It gives us vitamin D and all this stuff. So you see that the heat, the radiation from the sun affects our molecules. We can agree with that. Just like if you take a piece of paper and you put a match under it and you start seeing the paper turn what color? Black, because it starts to burn, because those molecules are now spinning and they're burning and they're transforming into the smoke that you see go up. You see, it doesn't just dissipate and die. It transforms into smoke and goes up. Aren't we a biological entity? What do you think happens when we go out or get too close to the fire and you feel the heat? You're feeling the heat of the fire. You know it's getting hot. That's why you back away from it. But if you don't back away from it, your molecules will start spinning so fast that they start turning black and everything starts burning. You know? So you can get a suntan from the sun that browns you, that browns you off. Or you can get to a fire and that fire will just totally take your molecules so fast that they just going to have to transform into turning into charcoal type stuff and then dissipating up into smoke or whatever. That's what's going to happen in the age of Aquarius. We're going into a hotter position of the galaxy. The sun is heating up. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to burn us up like that, but it's going to activate our molecular structure, our God gene, our DNA, our carbon-12, our melanin, and it's going to vibrate us into a higher frequency. Religion talks about it. They say when the Son of God returns, that he's going to take us up and he's going to lift us up and put us into this heaven. That's how religious explains it. Scientifically, that the sun is heating up and it's going to take our molecules and it's going to make everything and take us to a higher frequency. You guys, we're going to be vibrating at a higher frequency. You know, those people who are on that low frequency, who are too consumed by the negative things that are happening in the world, you know, you guys are not going to make that transformation. You're not going to make it because your cells and your body and everything is so contaminated, and it's going to be so low. It's going to be so low that you're not going to make it. So that you guys, please keep yourselves, your minds positive. Focus on the positive. Go to the higher ground, you know. Stay away from the low things, you guys. Money is okay. We have to pay bills. We have to eat. We need money to survive in that and to enjoy ourselves as well. But overindulgence of anything is not good for you. How much money you just want to show money on your teeth. I got diamonds and stuff on my teeth. How much money I got around my neck. How much money I got on my wrist. How many cars I'm buying, you know. I'm not saying you shouldn't have nice things in life. And if you worked for it, get nice things. But overindulgence, you know, I got a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and the Bugatti and the SUV and the da-da-da and the Maybach and the da-da-da. What is that? What is this? And you know the funny thing about it? You know the funny thing about it? You don't see billionaires acting like that. The people who really have money, they don't act like that. Look how Bill Gates dress. He dresses like a college campus nerd. You don't see Bill Gates walking around with Louis Vuitton and all kind of Versace shirts and and all this stuff. And you know, I'm forgetting all the names as if you guys got. I don't keep up with all the names, you know. But you don't see him walking around looking like that. You don't see Mark Zuckerberg walking around like that. You didn't see Steve Jobs walking around like that. Steve Jobs, his trademark was Levi jeans and a black sweater shirt. Michael Jackson, on stage, Michael Jackson went all out. But in real life, I've seen Michael Jackson's closet before, you guys. Those red corduroy shirts and those black trousers and those loafer shoes, he has a closet full of them. You'd think he's wearing the same thing every day because he has a closet full of the same thing. He has a couple of other pieces in there too, you know. But basically, he wears the same thing every day. So in everyday life, he's not trying to show off how much money he has. People who really have money, they don't behave that way. Even Jay-Z made the transformation. In his song, All Grown Up, 30-something, he said, I don't got the bright watch, I got the right watch. You know, so even Jay-Z made that transformation because they have real money. Now, these guys that maybe got a couple of mil or that, you know, few $100,000 or a couple of mil or whatever, that's new money for them. It's baby money, and they're showing it off in their videos. They're holding it up to their ears. They're throwing it around like they. You guys, the people at the post office make money. The people working at a supermarket make money. Making money isn't a new concept because everybody makes money. You might be making much more than the people in the post office, of course. But I'm just saying. But to just show off your wealth like that, to just become consumed by your wealth. You guys are vibrating on an extremely low vibration. Because if your talent is great, let your talent speak for itself. You don't need this. You don't have to show the cars in your video. You don't have to show your wealth. If you're really talented, because you're supposed to be selling your talent, right? You're not a car dealer. You're not a jewelry dealer. We're supposed to be consumers of your talent, your musical talent, your performance talent. So what's all this showing off your wealth got to do with that? Okay? All right. I know some of the young people, oh, you just hating. You just shut up because you ain't making money like that. You guys, I'm vibrating on a higher frequency of enlightenment, spirituality, knowledge, self-enlightenment. Because you know what? When you go, you ain't going to be able to take none of that stuff with you. Okay? And we all know that. Okay, I'm keeping you guys too long. I'm getting winded. You guys, watch what's happening with the Steve Bannon thing. See if they actually will convict him and then go after Trump. If they go after Trump and they can convict him, it will make him ineligible for running for office, and Trump will not make that return that we're all dreading. Even people in the Republican Party, they know what's going on, but they're still following along with the game. And this is what's mind-boggling. We can't understand why they're still following him and allowing him to still be the leader of the Republican Party after all the vile things that they've seen him done. Illegal. How many people in Trump's administration has faced charges, if not even prison sentence? How many people around him have gone to jail or being facing charges in criminal court cases? Think about that. Where there's smoke, there's fire, you know? So you guys keep your eye on that. Also, what happened in Kenosha, I'm forgetting the young man's name, the guy who shot the people. He's a young boy. He should not have been there. He should not have been carrying the weapons that he carried. He just showed up at this event looking for something, and he found it. And now he's sitting there crying on camera after he opened up. Even if the people were pursuing him, because he put himself out there like that, hey, I'm out here, I'm armed, and this and that. Those guys are real street guys. He's not a real street guy. Real street guys is like, mother, okay, I got a skateboard, damn it, Real street people stepped up to his little poop butt. And what did he do? Ba, 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 ba. How did he think he was going to feel before he even got to that event? Knowing that he was bringing weapons that could kill people. What was he thinking? What did he think would happen if he actually did kill somebody? How did he think it would, even if he didn't have to go to court, and even if he gets off of this case, he has to grow up with the fact that he actually killed people. And that's got to be on his consciousness for the rest of his life. Keep up with that case, you guys. In the Ahmaud Arbery case, let's see what happens with that, you guys. Here we go, So we have to see how these things turn out, you guys. That's America. This is America. We can't even predict what's going to happen. But in the meantime, you guys stay safe. Some cases are going up again in Europe, mostly. Here in Africa, you guys, we cruising through it as we always have. It is here, but it's so minuscule. It's so minuscule. Since this thing started up until now, Nigeria has only reported over 2,000 deaths. In over 2 years, only 2,000 deaths. When other countries were reporting thousands of deaths in one day consecutively. So it's barely even scathed us. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx us or anything like that, but that's how it is, So you guys still take care. If you got to do the vaccines, if you don't want to do the vaccines, if you don't believe in it, talk to your health professionals, know what's best for you, do what's right for you, and take care of yourselves and your loved one. Remember again, I told you guys, depression is real. There's some people who went into these lockdowns and suddenly their form of living, their cycle of living was just stopped. Some people are psychologically affected by that. And they don't show it, but it's happening. So take care of your people. There's been a lot of deaths going on, not just COVID-related deaths, just deaths in general, you guys. So I pray for all those, anyone who has lost anyone who's in a hospital and sick or whatever they're going through. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for all of them, you guys. And let's just try and uplift each other. Whether you believe it or not, we are going into the age of Aquarius. Our galaxy spins. It's moving at 130 miles per second, but it's so big. That sounds very fast. It is very fast, 130 miles in 1 second, but it's so vast that it's going around. And we're moving into another position, you guys. That cannot be disputed, okay? That's a fact. So if you don't want to believe that we're going to the age of Aquarius, you're going to believe that the planet is heating up because each summer we're getting record-breaking heats, and it's going to get hotter. Watch what happens next summer. Watch what happens. Look at the floods and things that are happening because of the global warming and all that stuff. Global warming is a natural phenomenon. Now, polluting and CO2 emissions that we're putting in the air, that's man-made. So it's affecting our lungs, it's affecting our body, it is destroying some of the environment, but global warming is a natural phenomenon. Okay? So you guys got to get with that. Look it up yourselves. If you guys doubt anything I'm saying, somebody even said, because I use the reference of the words from the song Age of Aquarius. But that's a song, Jeffrey. You can't just take the words of a song and try to call it science. Please, you guys, they took this science and made a song with it. We Shall Overcome is a song. Should we negate the lyrics of it because it's a song? Yes, Jesus Loves Me is a song, but should we, take away the lyrics because it's a song? So national anthems are a song. So, just because the Age of Aquarius is a song doesn't mean that the lyrics aren't, true, aren't real. So, that's all I'm saying, you guys. So, but the information is out there. As I said, you guys, we're in an information age. At this point, ignorance is a choice. Okay? I love you all very dearly. Spread the love, make love great again. I swear, you guys, I'm about to take you guys back to the world now, for real. It's been held up because I was going through some issues with the publishing and stuff like that, you guys. And because the publishing houses don't have staff there, everything has to be done online. So there are questions that you have to ask, and there's no one to answer these questions. So I've been going through some things like that, you guys. So sorry about that. But I got the song Back to the World ready to drop. It's been ready to drop. So I'm getting ready to drop it for real, you guys. So follow me on that. In the meantime, check out my song, Make Love Great Again. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, iTunes, whatever like that, you guys. Make love great again, because we will all be great. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out, okay? Say you're going to check it out? Okay, you're going to check it out. Okay, let me go. I've been keeping you guys over time. I love you all. God bless you. Until the next time, America, the God of America.